All right, you guys, what's going on? This your boy Town. So, of course, it's fight week, so I thought I'd get a little work in. You know, I got a few minutes before I have to punch in, so I want to talk about the upcoming fight with Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda. It's fight week, so they're gonna do the festivities, weigh-ins, all that final press conference. Um, I've been hearing where the location is of the particular fight. It's kind of difficult to get to and stuff, so it's somewhere in Queens, you know, a perfect place for a man to find a queen is in Queen coming to America, but nevertheless, you also have Amanda Serrano's Katie Taylor too. Basically, this is hopefully the final installment, unless Amanda Serrano's wins. If you know Katy Perry wins a third time, then at the end of the day, it's just time to move on from this. Katy uh, Perry didn't beat her twice. Now, both fights were controversial. The second one was far more controversial than the first one. I thought that Katie Taylor, not Perry. I thought Katie Taylor turned it on and had such a good final, like 4 rounds. It was enough for me for her to get the victory. But the second one, many people thought Serrano should have got the W, but she didn't. But you got Shakur Stevenson fighting on Saturday. Then you got Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano's Friday, Madison Square Garden. I'm gonna try to hurry up and get home. It's gonna be an all girls card. Alicia Bumgardner will be fighting as well. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about Shakur Stevenson and Williams Zepeda. There's been a lot of controversy going into that fight. Um, in particularly, so a lot of disrespect towards Shakur Stevenson. Calling him a runner and all this kind of stuff. At the end of the day, fighters have bad outings. Happens to everybody. Nobody talks about the bad outings Canelo then had, and Canelo hasn't looked in particularly good or exciting in his past few fights, but he gets a pass for that because of his ethnicity and his background, which is complete BS. But nevertheless, this label that people have stuck on Shakur Stevenson and in particularly black fighters for years about running and all this kind of stuff and Tom and Jerry. And I gotta say this, dude, get off my live, dude, before I block you. Um 5 4 3 2 1. Yeah, so we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. So, you know, but in particularly that's just been a stigma that I've hated, and a lot of people like me have defended that. And I gotta say this about Turkey Al Sheik. Turkey Al Sheik gonna have to get away from those, those casuals and those goofy suspect racists that are filling his head with BS. Yeah, they got fights every week, pretty much though. Pretty much this whole month they got fights for. They got fights every week the rest of this month, pretty much. So so that's correct. But I wish Shakur. I'm gonna say this in regards to Shakur. I really wish he would stop defending Ryan Garcia so much. It looks really bad on him. At the end of the day, um, I would never ever forgive Ryan Garcia for what he said. At the end of the day, I know Ryan Garcia got a lot of personal stuff going on behind the scenes, and I know uh, he tries to ease the pain of what he's going through behind the scenes with drugs and all that kind of stuff. But that still don't give you the right to make terrorist threats and hate speech towards a particular group. But at the end of the day, YouTube and a lot of these social media outlets, they give people a complete pass. Any hate speech, in particularly towards black men, it gets to remain on here. But if you remotely say something about anybody else, then at the end of the day, they trying to come after you. They trying to just harass your channel. They trying to, you know, um, take away your revenue and all that kind of stuff. So it is, it is a double standard. So, you know, This is double standard, and I hate that kind of stuff. But as far as this whole thing about running ring size, and that was just a joke about the ring will shrink as the rounds go on. And like I said, Turkey, he needs to stop saying that kind of stuff, because now it's gonna get to the point to where he coming across as ignorant. Okay. At the end of the day, like I say, the people that talk all this running stuff, you know, running and calling people track stars. Like I say, these dudes have never been in a fight in their life. They've never got punched in the face. Like I say, it's easy for somebody named Corky to be talking behind a computer, talking all greasy. I think that Shakur Stevenson is going to do a number on William Zepeda. Everybody keep thinking this smaller ring is going to benefit William Zepeda. Actually, what's going to happen is Shakur is going to press forward, and he's going to be able to walk um, Zepeda down. And I think Shakur Stevenson will get a late stoppage. So, with that being said, um, you know, I mean, I don't even think that's a story. I already talked to Brian Norman Sr. about that. As far as Tank go, Tank is a front runner, and people know that about Tank. Tank is a front runner. He want to put up this facade like this dude is just all banged out and just 100% street, and we already know that he ain't. At the end of the day, Tank still hasn't signed his contract to fight Lamont Roach Jr., and this is why the fight is being pushed back. It's to the point they don't even know if the fight is going to actually happen. So they're just not telling the truth. Tank, to me, is starting to doubt himself. But this is what happens when you're 30 years old and you fought mid-level Triple G like competition. You fought okay competition, but you haven't fought like the top tier guys. And people have grown tired of this, except the diehard Tank fans. Um, Tank fans are they're easy to beat in a debate. They just keep talking about knockouts and all that kind of stuff. But look who Tank is knocked out, though. I'm just saying, and look who he couldn't knock out. Roach was a dude that Tank was supposed to obliterate, and Tank didn't even win that fight. Many people believe, had they scored the fight correctly, Lamont Roach beats Tank. And because of politics and because of a flaw by the referee, and usually Steve Willis doesn't even make mistakes like that, but that was clearly a knockdown, and this should have been ruled a knockdown. Well, as far as Floyd responding to Roy Jones Jr., I have to call it a buck. Despite how you may feel about Floyd as a person or outside of the ring, Roy been attacking and dissing Floyd for years, saying that he wasn't TBE, he wasn't the best, and that he fought questionable competition and all that kind of stuff. You know, so I guess Floyd got to the boiling point to where he said, "All right, I'm gonna respond." And of course, people are mad at Floyd for responding, but truth be told, I just got to tell the truth. I'm a Roy Jones Jr. fan. I've interviewed Roy Jones a few times, but you just got to tell the truth. The problem is for Roy Jones Jr., that fighting style that he had, it wasn't going to suit him well as he got older, because he fought quickly off instincts and reflexes. And when his reflex started to diminish, Roy didn't know how to make adjustments as he got older. See, Floyd made adjustments as he got older. And I told you guys the same thing was going to happen to Amir Khan. And it stayed true. Amir Khan was going to start losing a lot of fights and get knocked out because, one, he didn't know how to make adjustments. And he would be predictable in a lot of his fights. And a lot of people started to see that. So, with that being said, um, I'm not gonna make a video going in on Floyd, because he's justified. And I think Floyd ignored Roy Jones Jr. for years, and Floyd was like, "All right, man, you leave me no choice." So I'm just keeping it a buck. But Anyway, you guys, let me get ready to go in here. We'll talk about it later on.